Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of Joyofbaking.com. Today we're going to make cream scones, or maybe you know them as scones. The first thing you need to do is preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit, that's 190 degrees Celsius. And then while you could make the scone dough in a food processor or even an electric mixer, I just like to do it by hand. So in a large bowl, I have put 2 cups, that's about 260 grams of regular white all-purpose flour. And to that, I'm going to add 1/4 cup, that's 50 grams of granulated white sugar, and 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and just 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm just going to whisk that together. And then to that, I'm going to add 5 tablespoons, which is about 75 grams of cold butter that I've cut into small pieces. Now you can use, I like to use unsalted butter, but you could use salted butter. And if you do, then just leave the salt out in the recipe. So I'm just going to add this to the flour. And then I'm going to use just a pastry blender like this to cut the butter into the flour. Now if you don't have one of these, you could use just either your fingertips, or you could just use 2 knives with a cutting action. But I'm just going to use, I just use this. And what we're going to do is cut the butter into the flour until it's in really small pieces. Now a scone dough is quite similar to an American style biscuit. It's just a little sweeter. But you could vary the sugar in this. You could go down to just 1 or 2 tablespoons of sugar if you want it less sweet, or you could even add a little more if you want your scone sweeter. Okay, so that's what you're looking for, just the butter in small pieces. So once that's done, then we need to do the wet ingredients. Now what I have here is 1/2 cup, that's 120 milliliters of cream. You could use heavy cream, light cream, half and half, or you could even use milk. The type of milk or cream you use will give the richness of the scone, so just keep that in mind. And to that I'm going to whisk in 1 large egg and 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Let's give that a whisk. If you don't want the vanilla flavor in your scones, you could just leave that vanilla out. And while this scone dough is really versatile, like you could add to the flour mixture, before I add this liquid, you could add like chocolate chips or some dried fruit, nuts, if you'd like. So now what you do is just make a well in the center of the dry ingredients and pour in your wet. And then just gently add the flour to the wet. Now you don't want to handle the dough too much, because we want a light, nice flaky scone. The more you mix this, the tougher they will get, so just keep that in mind. That's why I like to do it by hand, because I can really see what I'm doing as opposed to in a mixer. And as you can see, these are not difficult to make. From start to finish, 10-15 minutes, and you're done. So I'm just going to do this by hand. Just work and get all the flour mixed in. And then let's move that aside. I'm just going to put a little flour down. And then just gently knead the scone dough for it to come together, not too much, just so it's nice and smooth. Just make sure there's surface so it doesn't stick. And then you could just pat it if you want, or roll it. I'm going to use about, I think it's about 3-inch, 7-centimeter round cookie cutter to form the scones. You could use any size you want, or you could just put this into a circle. I'm going to put it in about a 7-inch, that's about 18-centimeter circle, and then you could just cut it into triangles if you want. But today we'll do round ones. So then just lightly flour your cookie cutter. And then what I've done is have a baking sheet. You can either butter or spray it with a non-stick vegetable spray, or what I've done here is just line it with a piece of parchment paper. If your scones have a lot of flour on them, just take a pastry brush and just kind of brush that off. And if you have scraps, just gently gather them up. So I'm going to get, I think, about 7 out of this. And then what I'm going to do, just to help with browning of the top of the scones, I'm just going to brush them with a little cream. You could also do it with an egg wash, which is a mixture of 1 egg and cream, but I'm just going to use cream. Or milk you could even use. Okay, and we're done. So into the oven for between 15-20 minutes, or until they're nicely golden brown and a toothpick inserted into the center of one comes out clean. So here we have our cream scones. As you can see, they've turned nice golden brown, top and on the bottom, and nice and firm. Now just let these cool for a little bit, and then you can serve them with clotted cream and jam, butter and jam, or even lemon curd. And I really like to make strawberry shortcake with these scones. Now they're at their best the day they are made, but you can cover and store them for a few days. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of Joyofbaking.com.